I chose this project focus because many people, including myself, struggle with traditional learning methods and mathematics. Gamification is a way to enhance learning by increasing student engagement and can help students feel motivated, making learning feel easier or more fun. I think gamification is another way to learn and something creative that can help with learning overall. Moving on to the key statistic, an estimated 25% of people have maths learning difficulties, but only about 6% of people will have a specific condition like dyscalculia, causing many students to struggle with maths. Although pupils in England, on average, perform better in mathematics than pupils in many other countries, there is a large gap between the lowest and highest achievers and between disadvantaged and advantaged pupils. The main objective of this project was to explore how gamification can make learning maths feel easier, more fun, and engaging. I wanted to see how gamifying maths can reduce anxieties and struggles with the subject and motivate people to want to learn more. I also wanted to look into UK maths and education, where achievement gaps and maths anxiety are significant issues, and also look into the psychology of gamified learning. So what is gamified learning? Gamification and game-based learning are very similar. They both promote engagement and encourage motivation in learning. However, they are different. Gamification is the integration of game elements like point systems, leaderboards, badges, or other elements related to games into conventional learning activities to increase engagement and motivation. On the other hand, game-based learning involves designing learning activities so that game characteristics and game principles are ingrained within the learning activities themselves. The main findings from my research that shaped my understanding of the topic include the self-determination theory. So I learned about a few different educational psychology perspectives, but the self-determination theory helped me understand intrinsic and extrinsic motivation better, learn how game design elements can be used to enhance learners' feelings of relatedness, autonomy, and competence, which fosters intrinsic motivation. And it also taught me the difference between autonomous motivation and controlled motivation. Emotional barriers. I learned about maths anxiety, which is described as a debilitating negative emotional reaction towards mathematics. Maths anxiety affects 1 in 6 children and is more common in primary school girls than boys. It includes anxiety related to being tested in mathematics, anxiety related to learning mathematics, and anxiety experienced in daily life situations involving mathematics. There is a need to develop and test games that are specifically designed for maths anxious students. These games will likely help more and have a larger positive impact on reducing maths anxiety and improving learning. My game isn't specifically designed for maths anxious students, but I did try to keep maths anxiety in mind. I also learned how to make a game design document and everything that needs to be included in one. A game design document is a detailed internal document that describes a video game's design. It captures the game's vision, core loop systems, and content. I also learned about the challenges and limits of gamification, such as the digital divide and increased distractions. So what is my solution? My artifact project is a game design document for a concept for a gamified video game designed to encourage, motivate, and improve maths learning. I've created this document to show how specific game elements and motivational features can make a fun, appealing educational game. The game is called My Medieval Workshop, where a player owns a workshop where knights and nobles come with requests and tasks the player has to fulfill and solve with maths embedded into the gameplay. For example, a knight may come into the workshop and ask for a new sword with some requirements like metal type, material, color, strength, etc., and the player would have to use maths to ensure they meet the requirements for the knight's requests. The game is single player and focuses on personal progression and individual decision making. And the purpose of the game is for teenagers who struggle with maths to enjoy it by learning while having fun, playing in a low stress environment. The game focuses on intrinsic motivation and doesn't include any harsh punishments or game overs for mistakes. I also want to mention this was just a concept of the game. I did not code or create the actual game. My target audience included teenagers who struggle with maths and who want a low-pressure environment, and people who like fun, cozy games where they can learn while playing. Moving on to key features of the game. The main key feature this game includes is tasks. The players have to complete tasks and requests given to them from knights and nobles. Players have different tasks like crafting and journey planning, which all include maths and decision-making in different ways. Another feature is reputation. Reputation is equivalent to the workshop's popularity and status. Successful work helps to increase the workshop's reputation and determines what type of customers come to the workshop, such as low or high-ranking knights and nobles. It also impacts how often certain customers show up and the frequency of nobles, as nobles are rarer customers who pay more. Reputation helps the game to progress, unlocking new characters and harder requests, giving players goals to work towards, but harder requests also mean harder maths. The next key feature is, of course, maths. Math concepts like mass, multiplication, ratios, distance, percentages, etc. are embedded into the gameplay or experienced through interactions, feedback, and trial and error, rather than directly, so it feels like an actual video game and not maths gamified. I wanted the game to feel low pressure and not to feel like a maths quiz, even though maths thinking is necessary to do well in the game. And lastly, titles, which are essentially badges in this game. Players can earn titles when they reach certain milestones. Titles are good goals players can work towards and are good motivators to help provide a sense of accomplishment. I started this process by making a design schedule outlining the work I needed to do throughout each week. First, I started brainstorming and mood boarding on Milo and Pinterest, and once I had a clear game idea, I needed to start my game design document. However, since I had never made one this detailed before, I needed to research and find some templates to help me. I broke my game design document up into sections and used the templates to help me understand and know what I needed to include in each part. Some sections my game document included were game overview, influences, key features, workshop and systems, game difficulty and progression, educational elements, and much more. I also wanted to wireframe to visualize the game, so I started creating low fidelity wireframes on Canva. Nearing the end of my development, I had started on some character design and my UX/UI skill unit. My UX/UI skill unit was able to be linked to this project, so I was able to do some small user personas and empathy maps to get a better insight into users and pain points to understand user wants and needs. Lastly, I also wanted to make some concept art or character designs. I wanted my character designs to show rank and status through the design and clothing, and wanted the art style to be cozy, warm, and cartoonish. Moving on to key skills I developed. Research and referencing. I learned how to research effectively and Harvard reference properly. I learned how to structure and write a literature review and learned how to use a research log to keep track of research. I learned how to create a detailed game design document and learn what it includes. And my time management skills improved with helpful things like time blocking and my design schedule. Overall, I really enjoyed this project. In my literature review and research, I focused on the main points I wanted to, like psychological perspectives and achievement gaps, and I think I explored the points I needed to be able to understand and learn more about this topic. Some challenges I faced were initially not knowing what I needed to include in my game design document, and I also struggled not to be repetitive and contradict myself while creating the document, as some sections did overlap. I think if I had more time, I would look into making the game specifically for math-anxious students and looking into actually creating my game. But overall, I am glad with how my game design document turned out and enjoyed the process of making it. Thank you for listening.